Star Trek. You've seen Star Trek, right? I don't know.
No.
You have not seen Star Trek. Oh
No,
my
I
God,
haven't.
I'm ancient in that sense. But it said the captain says, where no man has gone before. There's the
Okay.
Captain Spock there. What is it there? The next generation is looking for. India will have a leadership position in developing, deploying, defining the standards, and that is why this WTSA is very, very important for India.
What is standardization in a telecom world?
All countries necessarily adopt these standards. We have the second largest market in the world. All that happens because you follow standards. Mobile has become synonymous with persons' access to the rest of the world. The Prime Minister announced actually 100 5G labs are being set up across the country. Atmanirbhar Bharat, PM has been saying all the time that we need to be Atmanirbhar. If you want to predict the future, the best is to create it.
So hi Neeraj, it's a pleasure meeting you, and more a pleasure because I'm meeting you in the most busy schedule of your days now in this month when you're having WTSA, which is the World Telecommunication Standardization Assembly, and India Mobile Congress 2024. So a great moment to catch your time because that proves that I could steal your time from the busy schedule. So this is important for us and for you.
Thank you so much for having me over in this podcast.
How are your days going nowadays? Is it all like packed and running from one meeting to the other, matching the time and meeting? So many global representatives are here from WTSA, and you're hosting it all. So how is the experience going around?
It's pretty crazy to say the very least, but it's a lot of fun. Because we have about 189 country representatives here. We have about 40 ministers from various parts of the world who have come here. It shows the global leadership position of India as a Vishwa Bandhu, as Honorable PM says, that India will lead the process of standardization in telecommunications. It's coincidental that we have the India Mobile Congress also running along with it, which is a 4-day event.
Yes.
It happens annually. But the WTS is happening for the first time in India, in fact in Asia Pacific region, and it was the Prime Minister's wish that it happens in India, and here we are.
It is interesting that you said that one WTSA is happening first time here, but this whole idea of standardization, because this is about WTSA, the Standardization Assembly, how important it is, because we are trying to understand this whole telecom space very quickly, and to understand and to start where and end where, let me start here. What is standardization in a telecom world?
सबसे आसान एग्जाम्पल ये है कि अगर आप किसी ऐसे देश में चले जाएं जहाँ की भाषा नहीं आती है, तो आप कुछ भी नहीं कर सकते. अगर आप स्पेन में चले जाएं और आपको स्पेनिश नहीं आती है, तो न तो आप कुछ कम्युनिकेट कर सकते हैं, ना आप कुछ सुन सकते हैं, ना आप. सो स्टैंडर्डाइजेशन हेल्प्स इन टॉकिंग, इन कम्युनिकेटिंग, इन understanding what others are saying, because you follow the same rules.
Yes.
If you follow the same rules as I do on the road, if traffic rules are not there, which are standard, it will be a problem. You know left hand drive and right hand drive. Yes. Across the world that creates enough problem for us, right? So standards create common understanding of what to do and what not to do. And telecommunications is all about messages from one place to another, and therefore standards are very important. If my phone does not work in Europe, yes, or a European phone doesn't work in India, the telecommunications system will collapse.
That is what used to happen, I think, long back. एक phone दूसरे country में जाके it would not work.
We had times when we had CDMA, we had PDMA, we had many technologies in communications, and you had to check. Even now, in fact, there are some frequency spectrums which are different. Okay. You may find some phones from rest of the world may not work here, or some phones here may not work in the rest of the world. It is essentially, I won't say lack of standardization, but it causes issues when you do not follow common protocols, and that is very critical for telecommunications.
It is challenging to get everybody to agree to a common rule, because everybody's innovation technology is very different. So how challenging it goes for getting...
That is why the Telecommunications Union, International Telecommunications Union's job is to create standards. It involves everybody, including big telecommunication companies, R&D institutions, academic institutions, they all come together and they work on 7 to 10 year cycles to talk about what the new technology will be, find out what standards should be used, publish them early enough so that then the products can be developed. And this process is a continuous process. So
It is at the inception stage, R&D stage every time, so that the market absorption is big. A bigger pie for everyone. You're not limited to few countries.
So you have to decide on what you want.
Yes.
So suppose you wanted to deploy AI in telecom networks. You wanted to have capacity for the networks to be able to sense what is around you. Maybe you wanted to eliminate these antennas and these towers, and your phones become. This is all 6G.
Yes.
So this is the difference between 5G and 6G.
6G.
If you want to do this, then what do you need in technology? What are the kind of standards we need? How do you talk to each other? And how
We also have to upgrade faster to the other country development. If somebody is ahead of us, we have to match
So these
them.
standards are followed all over the world.
Yeah.
So all countries necessarily adopt these standards. And therefore you see the world moving almost together. We rolled 5G fastest in the
2022.
world, and that's something very remarkable. We have the second largest market in the world. All that happens because you follow standards.
Now that you've bought the term 5G, this is something I want to ask you. Can you break it down to make me also understand 5G, 6G, 4G? We are in the transition mode from here. How do we understand what is 4G, what is 5G? We only understand it as a speed. We increase the speed, we've gone to 5G, we'll go to 6G. We are envisioning 6G in the coming decade. We will see it completely rolled out. So how do we look at this benefiting each of us? How our phone has to adapt to it and how fast I have to adapt to being a 6G operator then?
So, Star Trek, you've seen Star Trek, right? I don't know you have not seen Star Trek. Oh
No,
my
I
God,
haven't.
I'm ancient in that sense. But it said the captain says, where no man has gone before. There's the Captain Spock there. Now, therefore, what you want to do is, what is it that, the next generation is looking for?
Okay.
What are their aspirations? What do they want to do together? And those are the needs of people which get reflected in these technological innovations.
Okay.
You want to do maybe robotic surgery from far away, maybe intercontinental.
Okay.
A doctor sitting in, I don't know, in All India Institute here, can he operate on a patient in South Africa? If that has to happen, there can be no delays.
It has to be real time?
It has to be real time. What does real time mean? Does 15 second is a real time? Is 1 millisecond a real time? Is 1 nanosecond a real time? And that definition of real time is different for every application.
Okay.
Maybe if it's a routine industrial application, maybe 1 second is good enough.
Okay.
But if you are doing a heart surgery of somebody remotely,
It has to be
real time, which means maybe a nanosecond or a 2 nanosecond or a 10 nanosecond.
It's like you're moving here and the thing.
If the doctor moves the scalpel here, it has to move simultaneously at that time, and therefore that is real time. Now these kind of innovations change from, so in 3G we didn't even maybe talk about it.
Yes.
It was not possible. From 3G to 4G, maybe it was just higher speed.
Yes.
In 4G to 5G, we added 2 features. We added low latency and reliability to speed. Now, हम लोग आम आदमी को हम इससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता.
बिल्कुल.
उसमें तीसरा जो है वो स्पीड है.
बिल्कुल.
तो हम लोग को तो स्पीड मिल रही है,
Yes.
which is very good. So but these 2 applications make a lot of difference for small industrial applications. So we are in fact now doing 5G intelligent villages.
Okay. What is that?
So what we're trying to do is use these other 2 capacities of the 5G network and see what applications can we roll out for rural India.
Okay.
So we just had some 10-12 villages we have selected, where we are going to select partners who will roll out these applications. It could be in health, it could be in education, it could be in environment.
You will see the benefit of the other 2 features.
So we will roll out use these capabilities to roll out something which makes a meaningful change in the lives of the people.
Okay.
Maybe you have internet IoT devices which can measure the nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium content in the soil on a daily basis, rather
That's a
than
big
measuring
problem
it.
solver.
Maybe you will have devices which can shut down the water pumps.
It is using artificial intelligence in it.
So that is an application which can
Okay.
run over this, but you need 5G technology to be able to do it in real time and push it. From 5G to 6G, these three. So 5G is these three features. When you go to 6G, the speeds may be 10x or 100x.
Okay.
Instead of 1 gigabits per second, maybe you're talking of 10 gigabits per second. Then you add another three features. You deploy massively artificial intelligence in the networks. The networks become self-healing.
Wow.
So, which means if something goes wrong, nobody
It can
has to go.
self-identify
It
the
can self-identify and heal it.
It is like a troubleshooter embedded.
Yes.
Yeah.
The next feature which people are talking about is that they will be sensing capabilities.
Okay.
Which means when I walk through a place, the network will sense that I am there. Right now, it only senses your phone.
Yes.
But can it sense you also as you're moving along? It cannot. But that feature will come in 6G. And maybe if you are moving
Sense
there,
the owner of the phone or the person.
it will sense people around it. And maybe how buildings are there, how a truck is moving behind you. Maybe your phone will suddenly
like we have the cars which automatically now move, the Tesla cars which can automatically sense.
So maybe your phone will suddenly say, look, there is a truck behind you, move away.
We'll lose our phone less. and the last feature that you said which makes 6G a six back, one is the AI.
So self-healing, higher self-healing, sensing, ubiquitous. So everywhere, which means there will be no place where there is no access. Yes.
So that is what I think we look for. It is network sab jagah ho. But again, understanding 5G, 6G, you made it simple. It is not just about speed. There's much more to understand and benefit from, for which you are implementing and going to execute in some villages. You take me to one or two stories or instances to understand it better. When we were talking just before the podcast about 4G experience, you said of a person or family. We have ourselves manufactured our indigenous 4G network. So how does this experience, because we don't know about it. We don't know we have our own 4G network generated here and how impactfully it is being used by the rural India.
So I just got a call out of the blue in the morning. This is Professor Kamakoti, who is the director of IIT Madras. He went to his village and his parents were there. I could see he was in a kind of a hut kind of environment. It was, the rural village, rural house, and he had his father talk to me on the video call. And he said, this is the first time in my life, maybe in the history of independent India, that I am talking on a video call from a remote village, thanks to the indigenously developed 4G technology which has been developed by CDOT and TCS and Tejas, and it is getting rolled out now across the country. And they were absolutely exhilarated. The parents there, so he can talk to their son, they can talk to people.
And being indigenous, it has helped in more penetration. Is that the benefit of going indigenous in manufacturing your own network?
So when you do it indigenously, one of the most important things you get is security. You have seen that networks can be penetrated by adversaries. They can do so many things.
They can use the data.
Yeah, and so not only data, they can cause active damage to your infrastructure during times of war. So we need to have control over essential strategic infrastructure. Communication is one of them. So that is the first advantage. The second is that it is trusted. It is our own. The third is that we can start building upon that technology. Now that we have 4G, we are also working on 5G.
Okay.
And we will also work on 6G.
6G, I was coming to that.
And the idea is that India will have a leadership position in developing, deploying, in defining the standards, and that is why this WTSA is very, very important for India to be there and all the people to be here in India.
So less dependent on the others, and we independently
Atmanirbhar Bharat. PM has been saying all the time that we need to be Atmanirbhar
in all the spaces. I think we carry
and
that.
Technology is one of very critical.
It is very critical. Now coming back to the last part of our understanding, very short conversation time you have given me because I peeped into your schedule. But I want to know from you how to understand technology, telecom together. We were talking about this, that you say technology turns telecom more, and it is an enabler for telecom industry, or telecom industry is a better utilizer of technology. Who is running the show together?
So telecommunications is really a horizontal.
Okay.
It drives almost everything. You pick up anything and I can show you where is telecom in that. You can take UPI, again a massive success of India.
Yeah.
Unless there is an underlying telecom network, you cannot really run UPI. You talk of maybe Ayushman Bharat. All these work on the presence of mobile in somebody's hand, because mobile has become synonymous with person's access to the rest of the world. It has become an identity because your Aadhaar is there on that. You have a DigiLocker on that. You have you can name anything.
So you're saying Digital India, telecom world has also enabled Digital India? Is that how?
So all the applications which we see today, which you and I use, which common man uses, maybe messaging apps, all of them run on the telecom infrastructure, and therefore telecom infrastructure is so important, and that's why we need to stay ahead of the curve. That's why we need to own it ourselves.
So which has to grow faster? Technology has to grow faster, or the telecom infrastructure has to grow faster?
So the telecom infrastructure and technology really feed on each other.
Okay.
So for example, telecom companies have invested thousands and thousands of crores on upgrading from 4G to 5G.
Yes.
We will again invest from 5G to 6G. And as we invest, we get more capabilities.
Yes.
As we do that, we get more use cases can be done, and investment follows. But we have to monetize all those. So that's why we are doing 500. Honorable Prime Minister announced actually 100 5G labs are being set up across the country. We have set up almost most of them.
Okay. They'll be operational.
They are operational.
Okay.
About 60% are already operational. They are all in educational institutions. So that's where students will start using these technologies, maybe to develop an application.
Basically, using the network in the right space, beyond just thinking it is a speed creator or helping you to just download things faster. It has a much larger use.
It's an enabler for you to do anything you can actually imagine.
Did you imagine this? I mean, going back to your journey, you are coming from a very academically inclined background, an IITian, to someone who is now the secretary in Department of Telecommunication and holding various other chairperson position in different departments and institutions. How do you see your journey? Is it like a student sitting in the IIT knew he got to make it something big and made it?
Well,
is it every IITian story?
I don't say that. I think it's I've been very fortunate to be able to actually deploy technology wherever I've worked. Be it the LPG cash transfer program, the Give It Up program.
You were a pioneer in the idea of LPG.
I'm not saying a pioneer, but yes, I was an integral part of that program. Very happy that I was able to contribute to that. The Honorable Prime Minister really took it to the next level, and then of course this 4G stack, which is now we are rolling out. So technology has been kind of a tool to simplify and the lives of people. And I've just worked on that principle.
You're a tech person?
Yeah, I mean, I can't call myself an engineer. It's been 1989, graduated from IIT, so it's
that was your first job?
My first job. Okay, that's a good question. It was at CDOT.
So you are chairing it?
Now, yes.
Now,
yes. So it's deja vu,
You being an IITian, coming all the way along with technology in your bag, how does it feel today? Did you know that you'll be doing everything else, being an academic to now chairing CDOT and having your first job in there? How does it feel? The whole journey has.
I think the technology is a tool to empower people, and for me, it has empowered me to be able to solve the pressing problems of in whichever job I have been, starting from the LPG cash transfer program, prior to that Project Arrow in Department of Post, the currently in having the 4G stack developed and getting deployed across the country. So it's been a fantastic journey with me having some understanding of technology to be able to simplify people's lives.
You were talking about your first job in CDOT and now chairing it. What is the feeling? Do you feel different, or do you feel I've come back? It took me so long to come back to it in a different power and position.
It's very nostalgic.
Overwhelming.
For me, yeah, it's overwhelming. I still remember my days where would be in C dot. You don't think about what time it is. You just sit there,
Just
do
keep
your work,
working.
just keep working, and the atmosphere was so. So it's a very nice feeling to be able to actually be there where you were there
And make
first.
people work for you.
Well, no, that actually we work in a team.
Yes, you believe in team playing.
We are a very flat structure. We just for 4G we have a meeting, stand up call meetings every night at 9 p.m. for the last almost a year, in which all of us are there.
Just one interesting thing you gave me. How do you guys work? People want to know, in bureaucracy it is all about meeting all the time. So how do you get that? It's all about meeting, talking, innovating. How does the secretary in a DOT work? How does the day start?
Well, it starts in the office, but
Does it start with a WhatsApp or a...
mostly
Yes, or a
some
call.
messaging,
Okay.
either an email or a WhatsApp or SMS or whatever the other person is using.
Okay.
Right, on the other side, it is determined.
It is
by
very
that.
important.
But we work as teams, and we like to motivate people, solve their problems, and deliver.
Okay. But do you see the startup culture beginning to grow in the telecom sector? It is kind of held on by giants and conglomerates. Do we have a space for startup or new age kids to come up with an entrepreneur idea in the telecom sector? Or it's not meant for that? It's only meant for someone with a very high stake involvement.
It is a highly capital intensive industry,
Yes.
number one. It is also an industry where there are a lot of entry barriers. It is also an industry which uses patents to control the technology in a very significant manner. But fortunately for India, I think new technologies like quantum communications, we are seeing a lot of people come in there. We're seeing at least 3 or 4 domestic 5G solutions which have developed.
Okay.
We're trying to deploy them in Indian conditions. So startups are, because the telecom technology is becoming more and more software defined, and India is a software giant.
Yes.
We are able to use that
skill.
and we can play the catch-up game in technologies which are new and emerging, just as I said, on maybe quantum communications, etc.
But on the part of the companies developing to bid for spectrum infrastructure, there will take a lot of time for these young generation to put the industry out there.
So all these technologies don't develop technologies on their own,
Okay.
at least in India. The TSPs, they don't. Some of them do,
They help in the transition,
but
the network
most
buying.
of them it is a buy-off, standard off-the-shelf products. So we have a space there for our startups in India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, to be able to generate, technology and sell it to. For example, C dot developed something called Cell Alert Protocol, which
Okay.
is maybe only the second solution in the world, and it is able to deploy it in the rest of the world. There are people asking for those solutions. There are many countries, so we are proud of.
Again, on the development of the technology, we are growing. So very quickly, I'll do a very fast wrap with you. This is to wrap up. Are you a person who watches a lot of podcast shows and rapid fire shows and all?
Don't get too much time to do that, but yes, I would love to.
You would love to. So we have this fun segment with you. You're gonna tell some situations we have created. What would you have done? If I have to ask you, there's one surprising fact that you've learned in the telecom industry. Very quickly, what is that?
People think it's a very simple thing. If you see movies,
Yeah.
people think that you can simply go and plug in a wire and
Yes.
start hearing. It doesn't work that way.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very
It is
complex.
not. It is very
not
complex.
simple. It is complex and it's very secure.
If you go back in time and explain 5G to someone from the early days of telephony world, if you meet someone who doesn't understand, बस वो phone उठा के घुमाना आता है, उनको कैसे समझाओगे 5G क्या होता है?
I mean, you will have to tell him that it is a phone which you are using, but you can see the other person, you can talk to him, you can wave at him, you can do so many things with him, and he might get confused and you can watch movies
Yes.
on it, and he might say, अरे ये तो television में होता है, अरे ये तो इसमें होता है. So this convergence is what will be very hard to explain to a person.
True.
Yeah.
A day in life, describe a typical day in your DOT journey as a secretary, which is one of the most unexpected part of your job. Everyday activity or something which you think this is something I did not expect as a secretary in DOT?
It's very, it's something which, every day is different.
Yeah.
It's every day there is a surprise.
But
So
is there
too many
one thing that
surprises
you
to
like
find.
about your job or you don't like about your job? Let's make it easy.
Too many surprises.
Okay. So you don't like it or you like it?
I like it.
You like it.
Yeah.
There's nothing that you don't like.
Yeah.
Any favorite tech quotes you've adapted?
I think the one I would really is to, if you want to predict the future, the best is to create it.
Oh wow.
So, as we are working from 3G, 4G, 5G, 6G, we would like to create, India's future should get created in India. I think that's something we would like to do.
Your favorite mobile? I won't say the company you say, but is there some gadget, tech gadget that is your favorite? That you're addicted to and you think I can't do without it today?
I think all gadgets have become converged into your mobile phone these
Okay.
days. So it's really, everything merges there.
So you believe your mobile phone is the only
Yeah,
gadget that you don't want to,
yes.
no other thing has replaced a mobile phone for you?
Maybe I would like to get away, do away with it also, because you're so dependent on
True.
it. But yes, if there's just one device, that's it.
That's it. So with that, we want to close, but obviously we want to have one understanding since we are standing in the environment of IMC, India Mobile Congress. How do you define India Mobile Congress for everyone? And what are the benefits people coming here could take from it?
India Mobile Congress really defines the cutting edge technological innovations being undertaken by our telecom ecosystem, including the telecom service providers, the four major players who are there in the system, plus the startups, the academic institutions, standardization institutions.
A lot of people coming together, all the
these people come
stakeholders.
together. All these people come together. I would, really urge the youth to visit this exhibition, because then they can start to expand their horizons, to be able to say what is possible. As you asked me in the last question that,
Yes.
If somebody 20 years ago, could you explain to him 5G? He would not have been able to imagine that this is feasible.
There's much more that we don't even think about now will come up.
Yes, so you can go and see, when you see what is feasible with the technological innovations, your mind broadens up. You can see, oh, I could do this. Oh, I could solve this problem. Oh, I could do it differently. So all these things actually start crystallizing in your mind, which is very important for a youth.
So you're saying IMC is one place where people gonna be able to envision the future and see where we can go by creating something we haven't thought about till today.
Yes.
So thank you so much, Mr. Mittal. There's so much more that I want to talk to you about. There's so much that I could not speak about. Spectrum, understanding different words, different terms that bring about the whole telecommunication world in real for everyone. So I think this leaves me with one more opportunity to come back to you
Sure.
with a newer
Happy.
technology and much before 6G.
Happy.
So
Happy to do
next
that.
time we can spend more time and actually in person explore 5G and know how this really works
Sure.
and changes our life.
Happy to do that.
Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much
It's
for
a
this.
pleasure having you.
Thank you.